Hey beautiful people, MVC here. Welcome back to the channel, and today is episode 8, the scary side of entrepreneurship. I know you're going to be very excited about this episode because I'm going to be talking about a broad subject. As most of you may know, if you've been tuning into my channel, I own a rideshare company. It's a family-focused rideshare company named JumpRydz. We operate in New York City. All right, but our team is pretty much remote. So usually my videos are on the rideshare industry or passenger transportation industry. But today's subject is going to be a bit broad because I think this is really, really important. All right, so let's get to it. And as always, I usually have some points. So we have 3 points. First is we're going to define entrepreneurship. Second, we're going to talk about who should be an entrepreneur. And third, we're going to talk about the actual scary side of it. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty. So, hey, beautiful people. If your business is stuck at $10K a month, you want to start living in your 4-hour work week and live a life of abundance, or you're just getting started, then go ahead down below in the description and click on Rideshare Builder. You will have me for 1 hour to review your current business or plan, and I'll show you how to troubleshoot your way to financial freedom. Rideshare Builder School coming soon. Go ahead and jump in. So number 1, what is the definition of entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the act of building a business or businesses, taking a risk in hopes of a profit. That's right. So it's the opposite side of, getting a job and working for someone or having a career, even if, you're someone like a doctor or a nurse or what have you. I mean, everything is pivotal. You can be a doctor or nurse and be an employee, let's say, of a hospital or an organization, but then you can build your own practice. Then you're stemming into entrepreneurship. But as long as you decide to take on a risk and don't leave all of your income reliant on your boss, then you're going into entrepreneurship, okay? Now, number 2, who should be an entrepreneur? Now, this is most important, okay? Now, as a lot of you know, if you've been following my content, you will know that I'm a follower of Christ. And I have an episode that will show up at the end of this one where I talk about God being your CEO. And I mean God being the CEO over your business, your life, your everything. I believe it's just that important because everyone needs guidance. You need to know what your purpose is in life. That's the only way you're going to be fulfilled, okay? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, or whatever it is. Everybody wants to live a fulfilled, happy life, one that they enjoy. And you can only do that if you are living in your purpose. And by design, God built us all with a different purpose. We each individually have our own purposes. We were built for something specifically. Now, to the subject at hand, who should be an entrepreneur? If we think back on point number 1, what entrepreneurship is, it requires risk taking. It requires jumping in the water, whether it's head first or feet first, but you're actually jumping in and saying, I can do this, and I will turn a profit, and I will be successful. That's what it means. Some people are not down for that. Some people are not built for that. But that's okay. Because in order for a person to build a business, there has to be a team behind it. So some people were built to be support staff, which would be employees or contractors, whoever is on the team. And some people were meant to lead the teams or own the business that the team is on. Okay. Now, how do you know what you're built for? Maybe you're in question. Again, this goes back to God. If you have a relationship with God, then you know that you can go to him. You may not know your purpose yet. You may not be comfortable in your life yet. You may be questioning, like, I'm unhappy at my job. Or even if you built a business, you may not like the business. Let me give you an example. I will always use myself as an example. When I first started JumpRydz back in 2011, it wasn't called JumpRydz. I had a name change in 2015, but I started as a student rides transportation provider. I was working at the aftercare/summer camp at the church that I was attending back then, and there was a real need. The parents that used to come and drop off their kids, a lot of times they would be late. And I started to get calls because I was the assistant director, and so most times I would close. They would say, hey, would you mind dropping off so-and-so to home or to karate or whatever it is? And I started to do it as favors because I knew the parents and I've known the kids. It was in the community that I lived in New York. So I had no problems doing that. But someone came to me and said, you can make money with this. You can build a business with this. And I said, you're right. I could start charging parents for it. So at the time I had a 2003 Honda Accord, and those parents that would call me, I just started to tell them, say, hey, I can provide transportation for your child. I think at the time I was charging $5 a child. $5 a child, but I was staying within, my community. So it wasn't really bad. I was making extra money. But the thing is, I fulfilled a need, number one. And number two, I wasn't scared to take a risk. Okay, first of all, I didn't even realize that that type of business existed. So there was no getting a license, getting proper insurance, writing down terms and conditions and all that stuff that a business requires. I just went head first. Once a person told me, said, hey, you can make money with this that you're doing for free, I took it and ran with it. And here we are 14 years later, from a transportation provider to a rideshare. Okay? And we're still building, but don't think that there weren't a lot of risks. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Okay? Actually, I'm going to save that for the next point. But I wasn't afraid to jump in and do it. Some people, the first thing they might think about is my financial security, my time. Oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't know when to do it. What if they say no? I wasn't thinking about any of that. No, I was like, hey, I could be financially free by doing this. Let's go, baby. So I am an entrepreneur. So God puts those thoughts, those feelings inside of you. If an opportunity arises, how you react tells you who you are as a person. And you can link that to your purpose. Now, it might take a little bit more digging. You might say, okay, if I'm a support staff, I could be a support staff to the CEO. I could be a visionary. I could help create, mold, and guide the business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own purpose and place in life. All right. So now that we understand what entrepreneurship is, who should be an entrepreneur, now let's talk about the scary side. The scary side is that big word, R-I-S-K. It's a risk is a maybe. A risk is a maybe. Maybe I'll make it. Maybe I won't. But I'm going to try anyway. That's right. So I'm going to give you a couple of scary stories. I would say about 3-4 years after I started the business. First, I told you I started with my car. Then I built up, and the pastoral team at the time at the church that I was going to, they actually gave me a van. They gave me it was a used van, but nonetheless, it ran. I was able to make money off of it and transport children safely to it. And from there, I was also able to purchase 2 more vans and just continue building. Yep. But I tell you, like I said, I went in head first, and I did not know the proper insurance coverage and things to do. There was one time when I purchased vans, I started hiring drivers so that they could, get the van, pick up the kids, because I started going out into different cities, into different communities that were still in, within a certain mile radius, but obviously I can't pick up everybody. So there was one time I started making magnets and putting them on the sides of my van. And, the drivers had routes. They had schools that they would go pick up and, whatever it was. And one of the drivers called me when they were supposed to be driving and said, "Hey, I got pulled over by DOT." I said, "What's a DOT?" Department of Transportation. I didn't know what that was. I didn't, because I didn't do my homework. I was just fulfilling the need, taking a risk. Got pulled over, got a ticket, and I had to go to court with the DOT. I figured out a loophole, okay? And that took a lot of praying, searching, getting resources. They were going to take away my vans and fine me $5,000. And little old me didn't have none of that. And if you took away my vans, you would take away my plate, because at that particular time, I had quit my job and I was going full time on my business. Okay, talk about a big risk. So myself and my mother, my very first investor and supporter, and still to this day, if we need, she's in New York, if we need a last minute or something, she'll hop in her car. That's a supporter. That's a supporter. My mother and I went to, I think it was in Queens. We went to Queens to court with the New York Department of Transportation. And I sat there and I let them know, A, B, C, and D happened. This was not clear, because, when you go, you got to be educated. This was not clear in your website, in your rules and regulations. Bottom line, I got away with a $1,500 fine, and I got to keep my vans. All they told me to do was take your magnets off your vans. The thing was, because I didn't have a DOT number, I had 15 passenger vans. I learned that later on. Lesson learned, but I continued on. Another episode, another driver. Something scary happened. I couldn't afford to pay the insurance, so I took a risk and let a driver continue to drive a van. I let her continue. She got stopped by the cops, and right then and there, they towed that van away. Towed, gone, done. I don't remember how much it was to get it out, but I didn't have it. So I left it, and I figured out something else. And like I said, 14 years later, here we are. It's hard times, scary times. On my social media, there's a YouTube short and a social media post called a Job moment. Sometimes we get into those. We get into Job moments. If you don't know what the story of Job is, please go ahead and watch that short, or watch that Instagram or TikTok post, so you understand what I'm talking about. Hills and valleys will be higher and deeper when you are an entrepreneur rather than when you are an employee. Because everybody's going to go through hills and valleys no matter who you are or what you're doing. But an entrepreneur is going to take a lot of deep dives, All right, so that's what that is. So give you my story, my 3 points. Hope we're all on the same page and you enjoyed this information. You guys have a wonderful and blessed day. See you in episode 9. Make sure you click the bell so you get the notifications and follow this page. Have a great day.